The cameras flashed. The press tour lights glared. The crowd held its breath. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. A secret kept behind closed doors, suddenly thrust into the spotlight. It is the headline everyone is whispering about, the rumor Jennifer Lopez doesn't want to discuss. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
It is always just, a really fascinating cultural moment when the heavily polished, bulletproof veneer of a Hollywood press tour actually cracks, even if it's just like a fraction of an inch.
Oh, absolutely.
Suddenly, you get this glimpse of the very human, very messy reality that is operating just beneath the surface of all those rehearsed talking points.
And we are taking a massive deep dive into that exact messy reality today. We have pulled together just a huge stack of source material for you.
A really big stack.
Yeah, we've got reports from Mandatory, OK Magazine, Cinema Blend, Memia, plus a radio transcript from 102.7 KISS FM and, the ever-reliable Wikipedia trail.
Yeah.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack those incredibly blurred lines between on-screen chemistry and real-life romance.
Right, because when you think of Jennifer Lopez, you probably see her as this untouchable architect of her own image, right?
Totally. She is an absolute master of the media narrative.
Exactly. But today we are looking at how an upcoming Netflix movie, which was written quite literally as a fanboy's ultimate fantasy, evolved into this rumored real-life fling, a fling that she is now aggressively trying to erase from the public record.
It's wild. But to understand why she wants to shut the conversation down now, you really have to look at how wildly unapologetic the origins of this project were.
Oh, for sure. Because this film, it wasn't born out of some cynical studio boardroom looking for an algorithmic hit. It started with a very public, very loud celebrity crush.
Let's wind the clock back a bit and look at the foundation of this upcoming Netflix rom-com office romance. Because the origin story is, well, it's just crazy. It was co-written by Emmy-winning actor and writer Brett Goldstein.
Right, and if you watch television, you probably know him as the perpetually angry, expletive-shouting Roy Kent from Ted Lasso.
Yes, but long before this movie was ever greenlit, Brett Goldstein was just, publicly standing Jennifer Lopez. He did not hide this at all.
He was essentially functioning as the unofficial president of her fan club. If you look back through his interviews over the last half-decade, he routinely goes out of his way to praise her.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about her talent, her charisma, her legendary status in the industry. He even hosts a podcast called Films to be Buried With, and he would talk about her on there with complete sincerity. He even joked openly that he wished he could marry her.
It's funny you say that because even when she married Ben Affleck, Brett leaned right into that whole heartbroken fanboy persona.
He really did.
Yeah, when reporters asked him about her wedding, he played it so perfectly. He said something along the lines of, I believe that one day I would marry J-Lo. Love is love, but sometimes they marry Ben Affleck.
That is it's such a great, tragic, comedic bit.
Right. But then he took all of that intense fanboy energy and just funneled it directly into a screenplay.
Which is, frankly, a masterclass in manifesting your own reality. The creative inception of that script actually happened on a train ride.
Wait, on a train?
Yeah. Goldstein and his co-writer, Joe Kelly, they were commuting while filming Ted Lasso. And they got into this debate about who holds the title of the greatest romantic comedy star of all time.
Let me guess.
Both of them immediately landed on J-Lo, and by the time that train pulled into the station, they had mapped out the entire concept for a movie.
Wow.
Goldstein has openly admitted they wrote the script specifically for her. He even went as far as to say that if she had rejected it, he would have just thrown the entire thing in the trash.
Think about what that actually means in practice. That is the Hollywood equivalent of sliding into someone's DMs. But, you're doing it backed by a multi-million-dollar Netflix production deal.
It really is. You sit down and write a movie where you are the romantic lead opposite your lifelong celebrity crush, and you just pray she says yes to the meeting. You are essentially weaponizing your own professional success to force a personal daydream into existence.
Right.
But when you zoom out, it raises a really complex question about shifting power dynamics. When a cinematic daydream becomes your actual workplace reality, the rules change.
They have to.
Yeah.
Because suddenly this woman is not just a poster on a teenager's wall or like an icon on a movie screen. She is sitting across from you in the hair and makeup trailer.
Exactly. She's your co-star. You have made yourself her professional peer.
And in the context of the script, she is playing his boss. So let's look at the actual film dropping June 5, 2026 on Netflix. It's directed by Ol Parker.
Okay, so J-Lo plays Jackie Cruz, this high-powered, iron-fisted CEO who controls her empire with absolute perfection.
And Goldstein plays Daniel Blanchflower, right? The new employee who basically serves as the chaotic force that undoes all of her careful control.
That's the one. And the sources note that the tone is significantly edgier and, well, raunchier than the standard J-Lo rom-coms we are used to seeing.
To make that edgier tone work, they surrounded themselves with a highly credible comedic ensemble. I mean, you have Betty Gilpin, Bradley Whitford, Amy Sedaris, and Tony Hale on the call sheet.
That lineup is insane. That tells you this isn't just a glossy, superficial vanity project. This is a legitimate, heavy-hitting comedy set.
Yeah, and that environment is crucial because it creates a space where a megastar like Lopez feels safe enough to drop her guard. Oh, and crucially, they cast Edward James Olmos to play her father.
Oh, wow. That specific casting choice is a massive nostalgic pull. He hasn't played her father on screen since the 1997 classic Selena.
Exactly. That detail alone tells you J-Lo was deeply, deeply emotionally invested in this project from the jump. She was booked back-to-back with other commitments, but she told People magazine she basically forced her schedule to work.
Because the script was exactly what we all need right now. She recognized the sheer quality of the writing.
Yeah, Goldstein earned his way into the room by writing a script sharp enough to command the attention of the undisputed queen of the genre.
He really did.
Now, if you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed because we've got even crazier stories ahead. What starts as a clever script soon becomes a set full of undeniable chemistry.
Oh, it really does.
And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the Broadway date nobody saw coming. Because this is the exact moment the story shifts from a clever screenplay to actual reality. They start filming in New Jersey in March of 2025.
And the fantasy Goldstein wrote starts to bleed into real life. This transition highlights the massive gap between public expectation and private reality.
How so?
Well, Jennifer Lopez walked onto that New Jersey set expecting Brett Goldstein to behave like his famous character, Roy Kett. She has admitted she expected this rough, gruff, highly intense guy.
She fully thought he was going to be this intimidating presence. Instead, she finds out he is soft-spoken, incredibly gentle, and just deeply charming.
And that element of surprise seems to be what lit the match. The sources describe the set as a complete flirt fest.
A flirt fest.
Yeah, they were reportedly trying to be subtle about it, but the chemistry was just undeniable to anyone watching the monitors. You have the classic workplace romance trope playing out in real time while they are literally filming a movie called Office Romance.
And you cannot write that kind of irony. And by the time they reached the wrap party, insiders speaking to Mandatory and OK magazine noted that they were getting very cozy.
Right. It was apparent to everyone in the room that the dynamic had crossed a professional line.
But they didn't just leave that dynamic at the wrap party either. They took it public in New York City. In early 2025, they went on a date to see the Broadway play, Oh, Mary.
Let's be clear about that. That is not a press junket. That is not a mandatory Netflix promotional appearance.
Not at all.
That is two people actively choosing to spend their rare free time together in a very public theater.
And it all culminated in a massive statement on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
J-Lo was asked to name her best on-screen kiss, and she crowned Brett Goldstein.
Wow. Naming him is a highly deliberate choice that carries a lot of weight when you review her filmography.
I mean, we are talking about a woman who has shared the screen with George Clooney, Matthew McConaughey, Ralph Fiennes.
Exactly. By naming Brett Goldstein, she isn't just validating his writing, she is validating him as a legitimate Hollywood leading man.
Hold on, though. I have to look at this critically for a second. I hear the timeline. I see the Broadway date and the late-night talk show compliments. But look at the reality of the situation.
Okay, what's your theory?
They are starring in a movie titled Office Romance. Dropping a little breadcrumb about a real-life secret fling is like the oldest, cheapest, and most effective marketing tactic in the playbook.
It is definitely a classic PR move.
Right. Don't you think the Netflix PR machine was orchestrating that Broadway date and just doing backflips over these rumors? How much of this is genuine emotion and how much is just a brilliant PR spin?
Well, it is the most natural assumption to make when you're looking at the machinery of modern celebrity culture. The timing does feel incredibly convenient.
Highly convenient.
But when you dig into the psychological context of where Jennifer Lopez was at that specific moment in time, the reality of a genuine, spontaneous connection actually carries a lot more weight than a PR stunt.
Okay, why is that?
She was in the middle of emotionally recalibrating after her highly publicized, deeply painful split from Ben Affleck.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Right.
She had just moved out of the massive house they shared. She was completely in the thick of the fallout.
Right. When you are a megastar trying to escape the crushing psychological weight of a massive, heavily scrutinized public divorce, your instinct is to seek out the exact opposite of what you just left.
I know Brett Goldstein.
Exactly. He isn't bringing the heavy historical baggage of a Ben Affleck. He is soft-spoken, he's funny, and he is deeply admiring of her. Remember, he's the ultimate fanboy.
So it was kind of a safe haven for her.
According to the sources, he offered her a profound sense of lightness and escape. It gave her a chance to feel wanted and energized again, completely free from the heavy weight of long-term expectations.
So it functions as the classic rebound, but, elevated to the absolute highest echelon of Hollywood. They clearly had a strong mutual physical attraction, and he provided this safe, pressure-free bubble for her.
Yeah, he made her laugh during a really dark chapter of her life. Rebound relationships offer a very specific, highly therapeutic kind of escape.
Right.
The goal isn't to build a 20-year life with this person. The goal is to survive a difficult moment with them. And by all counts, they genuinely enjoyed each other's company while that moment lasted.
So why didn't this Hollywood romance go the distance? The reality behind the breakup is the exact thing Jennifer's trying to avoid talking about.
Yep.
And that's coming up next.
Because despite this intense connection, despite the cozy rap party and the Broadway dates, the relationship abruptly hit a wall.
Yeah, they went from a secret romance right back to being just friends. And that transition set the stage for one of the most awkward press tours in recent memory.
Navigating the transition from romantic partners back to purely professional colleagues is difficult for anyone in any office. But attempting to do it under the glare of global studio lighting, with millions of people watching your body language, is a completely different kind of psychological pressure.
Let's break down why it fizzled out in the first place. An insider provided a really telling quote to the magazines.
What did they say?
They explained that while Jen has a great deal of affection for Brett and thinks he is a warm, grounded person, he simply didn't, quote, check all the boxes for her long-term vision of a partner.
Ouch.
Right. They realized they functioned much better as friends, and the romantic momentum just naturally faded out last year.
That phrase, check all the boxes, is the skeleton key to understanding this entire situation. If we connect this to the broader machinery of celebrity culture, Jennifer Lopez's entire brand is built upon a very specific romantic mythology.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She doesn't just casually date. She has epic, sweeping, earth-shattering romantic sagas.
Exactly. The Mark Anthony era, the A-Rod era,
Right.
the multiple Bennifer eras. She treats romance like it has to be a monumental event.
Her brand practically demands that massive scale.
Yes, and while Brett Goldstein is a brilliant, successful Emmy winner, a quiet, self-deprecating comedy writer from London who offers lightness and escape, just doesn't cleanly fit into the heavily curated narrative of Jennifer Lopez's soulmate.
That makes so much sense.
The rumor she doesn't want to discuss isn't just the simple fact that they dated and broke up. The secret she is guarding is that the relationship simply wasn't epic enough to warrant inclusion in her official romantic history.
Wow.
She is fiercely protecting her brand's mythology from something she views as a minor detour.
And you can actually watch her protecting that mythology in real time. And let me tell you, it is uncomfortable to witness.
Oh, the Today Show interview.
Yes. Fast forward to the press tour for Office Romance. They were sitting next to each other on the Today Show, being interviewed by Savannah Guthrie.
And Savannah's just doing her job as a journalist.
Right. She straight up asks if their undeniable on-screen chemistry made its way behind the scenes. And J-Lo entirely deflects the question.
The media training completely takes over, and she goes immediately on the defensive. She refuses to give a straight answer.
Yeah, she looks at Savannah and says, there's never a time when I'm seen with someone, I'm working with somebody, they don't put me with that person.
And Savannah rightly pushes back and calls it out as a non-answer.
Which it totally was. At that point, J-Lo gets visibly flustered and says, it was an answer. I think I was with Kevin Costner this year. It happens all the time. Doesn't make it true.
She literally brought up a random rumor about Kevin Costner to deflect from the man sitting right next to her.
It's so awkward.
It perfectly highlights the immense discomfort of the situation. She is employing a very classic media evasion tactic.
By deflecting.
Exactly. By lumping a highly specific, very credible rumor in with ridiculous, easily disproven gossip about Kevin Costner, her goal is to discredit the entire premise of the journalist's question.
But the real masterpiece of that interview is Brett Goldstein's reaction. While J-Lo is getting defensive and flustered, Brett just taps into his deadpan British humor and quietly says, "I think if you stand near her, that's what happens."
You have to laugh at the sheer brilliance of that line.
I know. But think about the awkwardness for you as a viewer. Imagine doing a massive global press tour alongside someone you used to have a very real fling with, and you have to sit there under the studio lights smiling while she aggressively pretends you were never more than coworkers.
It requires an incredible amount of professional discipline to not react poorly in that chair. And Brett's self-deprecation was the absolute perfect diffusal mechanism.
It really was.
By making himself the punchline, by implying that literally anyone standing near her gets caught in her gravitational pull, he took all the heat off the specific nature of their past relationship. He actively protected her narrative.
Which honestly just proves exactly why she was drawn to him in the first place.
Yeah.
He is smart, he's deeply charming, and he knows how to handle a high-pressure moment without making it about his own ego.
Very true.
He willingly took the bullet on national television so she could keep her epic romantic mythology completely intact.
It is the ultimate act of a true fan who evolved into a genuinely good friend. He got to live out the absolute peak of his fantasy. He wrote the dream script, he got the girl, even if just for a fleeting moment, and then he gracefully stepped back into reality when the moment passed without blowing up her spot.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Because as we wrap up this deep dive into the sources, it leaves us with a completely new lens through which to view this upcoming film.
It really changes everything.
Right. We know the fanboy origins. We know the reality of the emotional escape behind the scenes. We know the awkwardness of the press tour aftermath.
Having all of that context completely changes the text of the film you are about to watch.
It really does. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. When Office Romance finally drops on your Netflix screen on June 5th, and you sit down to watch J-Lo and Brett Goldstein sharing these crackling, intimate moments, how does knowing that a real-life fling already happened and fizzled out change your experience as a viewer?
Are you watching two brilliant actors giving a finely tuned performance of falling in love?
Or, in some strange, high-definition way, are you watching a multi-million-dollar documentary of a real relationship that has already expired? You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.